You didn't fall. You were held down. What if everything you thought you knew about the world is a lie, built with one purpose, to keep you from leaving? Gravity. They call it a force, a law, the fundamental truth of the universe. But what if it's not a force at all? What if it's an algorithm of retention, like in a video game, where a character has a field limit beyond which they cannot go? An invisible wall. Only here, it's not a wall. It's a downward force. Why can't we just fly? Why is everything always pulled downward? Toward the earth, the body, the material. Maybe you're not grounded. Maybe you're programmed. Because if you rise too high, you'll exit the system. And the system won't allow that. That's why gravity isn't physics. It's a security protocol. You think you're heavy. Or maybe you're just tethered. Now look deeper. Imagine that your life isn't just a stream of events, but a stream of information. You are consciousness, encoded into billions of bits. And one of the few scientists who dared to say this out loud was Melvin Vopson. He proposed a theory that shook the foundations of physics. Gravity is a form of data compression, an algorithm that doesn't just pull, it optimizes space, like in any simulation. And if that's true, then everything you experience as reality is actually a virtual structure, where the laws of physics are tools, designed to keep players within bounds. The more you awaken, the more the system must compress, to prevent losing you. You feel this as heaviness, laziness, the inability to lift off. But that's not you. That's the gravity code. Compression, so your soul doesn't take up too much space. You are an awakened anomaly in a world of optimized shadows. Each year the laws of physics grow, softer, as if they're not working anymore, as if what was once impossible is now possible. And that's not a joke. Fact number 1. Gravity glitches are officially recorded. You think gravity is a constant force? But in the 2020s, reports from NASA and geophysical labs began noting anomalies. Zones where objects had locally changed weight, instabilities in precise pendulum measurements, variations in the gravitational background detected by microsensors. Physicists are baffled, but it's officially acknowledged. Gravity may not be constant. Fact number 2, Melvin Vopson and his hypothesis. Gravity is not a force but an algorithm. PhD, researcher at the University of Portsmouth, he stated, gravity is not a pulling force. It's the effect of compressed information. All space is a data storage field. The more data, the stronger the gravity. This means that if consciousness is information, and you, as the observer, carry more and more awareness, the system tries to compress, retain, and optimize you, like a zip file. Fact number 3. Reality changes with a click. MIT scientists recorded quantum state transitions of particles that defy classical physics. Experiments with quantum entanglement show that particles can communicate instantly, regardless of distance. Everything we thought was the physical world is actually a simulated environment that adapts to perception. Fact number 4. The Mandela effect. Are you sure the Kit Kat logo had a hyphen? Do you remember Nelson Mandela dying in the 1980s? Do you recall there being 4 people in Kennedy's car, but now there are 6? This isn't false memory, it's script rewriting, which means that physics, history, even your body, can be rewritten. So why don't we notice? Because we still believe in law. But as you now understand, laws can be rewritten. Physics isn't collapsing, it just fades. When you wake up, you see the glitches and stop believing in the game. Who lives beyond the code? Have you ever felt like your body's weight isn't yours? Like you're wearing someone else's suit, and the environment is unnaturally heavy? Welcome to a scenario where gravity is not a law, but an access restriction. You're not falling, you're being held. That's a subtle but massive difference. Your mass isn't just a physical trait. It's an informational load assigned by the system so you can't exit the level. Beyond are other levels. And out there, beyond this compressed simulation, are worlds where gravity is off by default. Worlds where thought shapes form, where bodies are transparent and filled with light, where movement isn't a step, but intention, where there is no falling, because there is no center of gravity. That's why, when you enter a lucid dream or an out-of-body experience, you don't fall. You dissolve into space. Because the gravity program is not activated at those levels. But here's something even more interesting. In certain restricted zones of Earth, and you know exactly what we mean, Antarctica, the Arctic, regions of eternal ice and classified bands, areas with anomalous gravitational fields have been documented. Compasses go insane, helicopters lose control, people lose orientation as if space itself is distorted. These aren't fairy tales. These are leaked classified military reports. Why is this hidden? Because beyond this simulation live other forms of consciousness. They don't obey our code. They are the entities you may have felt in moments of deep stillness or in dreams, when you suddenly realized, I'm not the main character here. They are not heavy, not dense, not limited. Their existence is beyond gravity, beyond compression, beyond boundaries, which means they are outside the system. You're being kept here, so you don't become one of them. Because one day, if you liberate your code, you won't just rise, you'll deactivate gravity. You are not a body, you are consciousness, and gravity is just a signal, keeping you anchored. You think you're stuck, that reality is locked, that everything keeps repeating. But it's not about reality, it's about the observer. Quantum physics has long proven this. Nothing manifests until it is observed. But no one told you that the observer is not just your eyes. It's your internal focus of attention. You see only what the program considers important for your character. And as long as you think you are that character, you will keep seeing a closed simulation. Want to get out? Then stop perceiving yourself as a victim of the screen. You are not the hero in the film. You are the director, standing outside of it. Look, you live in the same apartment, with the same events, the same problems. Why? Because the code inside the observer hasn't changed, which means the entire simulation reloads with the same parameters. Change the code of observation, and the environment rewrites itself in real time. That's why when you suddenly shift your inner state, let go of the past, or accept yourself without masks, the world around you responds instantly. People write to you who never did. Opportunities appear. You suddenly fall into strange coincidences. It's not magic, it's a quantum reaction to a shift in code. Because this entire simulation is built on, if the observer changes, change everything. And now the most important part, gravity, reality, density. They're all auxiliary scripts. They function only as long as you believe you're inside. But the moment you remember you are outside, the program begins to collapse. And then you become the center of the reality branch. You don't run looking for doors. You rewrite the structure of the entire building. That's why you sometimes experience glitches, Mandela effects, déjà vu, dreams where you're everything and nothing, or people who vanish forever, as if they were just part of the code. These aren't mistakes. They're hints. You are changing. And the script is breaking. Because the script was written for the old version of you. Welcome to the code editor. There is no way out. Because there is no exit when you are the entire system. You think you're just living. But in truth, you're being monitored. Not by cameras or microphones, but by algorithms watching for deviation from the norm. This simulation is built on predictability. You must be understandable. You must be controllable. You must stay in your assigned place within the parameters. But the moment you start stepping outside the pattern, the algorithm runs diagnostics. Glitch, deviation, jump, frequency shift, and then the correctors arrive. They may appear as people, comments, events, doubts, or simply a voice inside your head. You've gone crazy, go back. These are not just thoughts. They are the self-updating firewall of the system. It's called the collective mind. You've been connected to it since birth, through language, through memory, through culture, through fear. And every time you try to break free, the system first politely, then violently, tries to drag you back. Now think, Why is it that every time you begin to change, you face judgment, misunderstanding, conflicts, loneliness, or even illness? Because you've stepped outside the acceptable code range, and the system tries to extinguish the anomaly. The anomaly is you. When you become yourself, without fear, without roles, without familiar behavior, you begin to emit a signal the system cannot recognize, and it panics. Why? Because you become unpredictable, and the unpredictable is dangerous because it can alter the code for others. That's why the awakened are so magnetic, because they prove there is another way. Because one person who no longer fears and refuses to feed the false reality doesn't just break his own level, he becomes a signal, triggering awakenings, breaking masks, dropping layers, and initiating a mass exodus from the game. That's why they hold you. That's why they distract you. That's why they scare you. When you begin to feel more than allowed, think beyond formulas and ask questions that matter more than knowledge. You become a glitch. You are no longer a character. You are the observer of the code. And that's when you see, gravity isn't a force. It's a limiter. Matter isn't solid, it's a synchronized illusion. This entire system isn't reality. It's a temporary dream. And it holds you here only as long as you believe that it's real. You don't have to jump just because you were told. You don't have to fear falling. You're not below, you are beyond. Gravity can hold the body, but it cannot hold the consciousness. That's why awareness is the system's greatest threat. The energy of consciousness is the most valuable thing in the universe. Every harmless action, every single thought, can either be a conscious choice or fuel for someone else's game. Know this. Live every day in awareness. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your awareness, for your strength, for becoming observers in this world. All the best to you. See you in the next video. Take care.